Hi everyone, it's Barbara Hayward here from the Old Girls Spiritual Stuff YouTube channel and Facebook page. Today I have an extraordinary lady with me, a lady who lives in New South Wales in Victoria and who has travelled extensively and who's just got a story behind her like I've actually not heard before. And today, primarily, we're going to be talking about a book that she has written, and it's absolutely an amazing book. And we're going to go through, and unlike most interviews, I've written a whole pile of questions out today that I will be asking our guest speaker. And because these are really important questions and there's a lot to cover. And so thank you for your patience. I thank you so much, Black Crow Walking, for joining me today and my audience out there. And you live in New South Wales in Australia. And Crow, thank you from a personal level of saying thank you for being here today. And we're going to talk about your book, but can you just give me a 5-minute basic version of your journey up to when the book started to happen?
Oh, okay. Yeah, 15 years ago, I started channeling archangels, and what happened was I began to just write them a letter. So every morning they would wake me up every morning at 4 o'clock, and uh, so I had a system where I could ask three questions, and they would literally push my body to give me a yes or no, like a pendulum. And then I would write to them, Dear High Tutor. And I would write about anything. It didn't have to be solving the problems of the world or, anything really important. It just had to be about what I wanted to talk to my friend about. And so I just started to treat the angels like they were my best friends. And then after a while, and then I would write another letter which said, Dear Crow, and I would just intuitively write, allow whatever came without editing. And I did that for so many years, and eventually I just developed this online online thing in my head where I didn't have to write anymore. It was just there, and so I would just get up in the morning, or I wouldn't even get up. I mostly happened in bed. And I would just simply say, Are you there, hi tutor? And then I realized that I had a runner guide. And the runner guide is the one that is like the parking ferry. And but this runner guide was very interesting because he would literally go and get my higher tutor. But while he was gone, he would play hymns.
Wow.
Now I'm not sorry, I'm not a Christian. I'm not religious in any way, shape, or form, but I am deeply, deeply spiritual. But I used to be a Christian when I was a child, and so I've got a lot of hymns in that I remember. And he would just turn the hymns on. They'd be playing until my higher tutor arrived, which wasn't very long. It used to make me laugh. And then recently, oh, not that recently, about 3 years ago, I started channeling an Archaea. Now, the Archaeas are the female counterparts of the archangels. And I was channeling Archaea Aurora, who is the partner or the other side of Uriel. And so and she is really demonstrative. Like, she would wake me up with blue flashing lights like a police car in my bedroom, or yeah, and sometimes the smell of gardenias across my nose. Well, the really interesting thing about that is that I have no smell or taste. I lost that when I got Giardia a few years ago, or quite a few years ago now. And but I can smell if my mouth is open. But I also have psychic smell,
Right.
clairsentient. So it was clairsentience that I was actually smelling, and so that, and then she said, so I was channeling her. She's already got her book. I haven't put it on the computer yet. Been a bit busy. As you can see, the thickness of my book, I've been very busy. Um, so she's way down the track somewhere. But she ran my last four retreats, and people really got a lot out of it. And she's a lot of fun. She's very, very colourful, as you would imagine an aurora would be. And she's very demonstrative. So my father was in hospital, and I would get in the elevator to go up to the floor he was on, and the man in front of me would have written across his whole front of his t-shirt Aurora, and on the back would be rainbows. I'd be driving along, and a sign that's always been in the middle of the road that is just pure aluminium colour would be flaming rainbows across the road, and it was
Yeah.
like everywhere I looked, Aurora was, and she was just reassuring me that she was there and we were working together. And so, what I realized from that, Barbara, is that I am the voice for a large team of fifth dimensional angelic beings who want to bring practical living skills to Earth for the third dimensional, for those that are third dimensional. And dimensions are not a place, they are a vibrational frequency. So
Yeah.
when you are experiencing and practicing the virtues of love, you are on the fifth dimension. When you
Right.
are still locked into anger, blame, shame, guilt, resentment, all those base emotions, then you are on the third dimension and you are still rolling around in your stories. And I think I'll stop that question there.
So you've actually answered a couple of the questions that I was going to ask. So I will look down if you don't mind, because my eyes are a little bit, not as spark as they used to. When you were writing your book, the Days of Wisdom, how did your life change in that experience of writing your book regarding the information that you were getting to put into your book?
Oh, this is a really good question. I love this question, Barbara, because it makes me laugh. And the reason it makes me laugh is because I channel this stuff, but I never read it.
Yep.
So I have no idea what it says. And then someday I open the book, and there is this random reading for day 163. And I read it and I go, oh my God, that's good. So a lot of people, like, what happened for me was that as I was writing this or getting the thing on the computer, the angel said to me, we want you to sell the readings, the daily transmissions, for $1 each. So I put it out there, and about 40 people every day bought a transmission for $1. And and they are way ahead of me. I have no idea what the book
If
says.
you could just explain to the audience the word transmission,
Okay.
how do you describe that word?
Well, transmission is simply a direct message,
Right,
and it bypasses the mind, and it just
right.
comes onto the page through the hand. Um, yeah.
Thank
So
you. That was important to get a clarification for our listeners out there. I just not that I do love the explanation because it's a truth explanation, and it just makes that word so much clearer. And certainly, I'm looking for the people that are listening to this, that will make it a lot clearer for them. Did the message, and I'll read this verbatim, did the messages ever challenge your own beliefs or your own comfort zone?
no, because I don't have beliefs anymore. I think beliefs lock us up into a certain way of being on the planet, and
Absolutely.
beliefs are always attached to some sort of story. And
Yeah.
I don't do story anymore. If I do story, I'm caught in the past or the future, and I don't want to be there. I certainly don't want to be in the past, and I have
Right.
no idea what the future is. So the only place I can really be is here, and here has no beliefs. Here has no stories. Here is just presence. Here is breath. Here is light. Here is what you can see in front of you. Here is your connection with everything, and understanding that everything is energy and everything is vibrational frequency, and everything has vast intelligence. And when you can connect with everything from that perspective, you realize that you're no longer this personality, this mind, this body. You are energy experiencing form, and it's the same energy that's in everything. So you take your body off.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, I literally, if I want to, I can literally visualize unzipping my body and stepping away and truly being in the energetic experience of living in form. So, and living out of form. We are formless beings that are having an experience. And this is our learning device, this body. And so when I step out of my body into the formless, I can't see where you begin, Barbara, or where I end. We
Yeah.
are just the same energy
Yeah. Yeah.
experiencing.
And there's an expression that I like. The Father and I are one. And so in the expression of all things being one and all things being connected, that's what I believe you might be talking about. Would that be right?
Yes, one energy. Well, one formless being
Yeah.
experiencing life in everything, like in the tree, in the coffee table. You know, the tree is not gone; it's still a formless
Yeah.
being inside the coffee table. You know, and every drop of water has always been here, Barbara, from the beginning,
Yeah.
and never will be not here. So it's constantly recycled, it's constantly transforming into another form, whether it's rain, whether it's steam, whether it's we going into the toilet, whether it's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
toilet going into the ocean. It's always here, and we are as well.
You know, just a byline there saying that when I realized, and I can't tell you how long ago, 20, 30 years ago, that no new air has ever been put into the earth plane. It's the same air. And then I realized that I'm breathing the same air that Socrates breathed. And
Exactly.
and the moment I realized that, it put everything into a far different perspective.
You
And
got
and
it. You got it.
yeah, and you're using the example of water, and there's no difference between water and air.
That's it. Yep.
You can't add there was a formula that I heard years ago, scientific, and it says you cannot add or subtract anything on the earth. You can only transform it or transmute it.
hmm
And that is just so exciting.
It
And to
is
hear that
exciting. I'm feeling
again,
excited.
yeah, to hear it again regarding water. Thank you for that. That just sort of made my day, really.
Yeah.
Um, your book, why is it so good? Tell me, why is it so good? I know why it's good, but I'd like you to tell me.
Okay. I'm going to answer you. Look, I'm really sorry about this, but I have a tendency to answer from the fifth dimension rather than the third dimension.
You go for it.
And in the third dimension, there is a lot of right, wrong, good, bad.
Yeah.
On the fifth dimension, things just are. And often I answer people in a way that they don't understand because I'm answering them from the fifth dimension. And the fifth dimension is very practical.
Can I use
So
the word, instead of good, can I use the word amazing?
it can be, yeah, sure. But we're all amazing. Everything
Yeah.
is amazing. When you open your eyes and you truly see this planet um, as it is intelligence, as it is vibration, as it is beauty. in incredible beauty. That beauty can come into everything that we touch, everything that we know. And it's not an individual's personality that's coming into the book. It is a team of vibrational frequency that are aiding and assisting us on this third dimensional plane to make the shift to the virtues of love, to make our focus love. And that's what this book does. It takes you from the choice of fear to the choice of love. And when you're choosing fear, you are in a low vibrational frequency that can only attract fear, because what we focus on is what we get more of. So if you are focusing on things that are making you afraid, or things in the future or the past, then you're going to get more of that. And that's why the third dimension is about the hamster wheel, rolling around in the same old story all the time. But when you focus on love, everything in the universe realigns to where you are at. It's like a big shift. The cosmos is shifting constantly into alignment with you and your choices and your decision making. So if you're deciding to be in fear, the universe shifts so that you can experience more of that. If you're choosing love and the virtues of love, like grace, gratitude, kindness, calmness, peace, all those beautiful virtues, when you start to practice that, everything comes into alignment with it, and you attract the most beautiful people into your life. So, like Barbara just pops up in my life right because she was meant to be there, and that's how the
Absolutely.
universe works.
Now, the next question, which I think I know the answer, why do you emphasize listening rather than following?
We're trained from birth not to listen.
Yeah.
We're trained from birth to be in pain and fear.
Yeah.
And like right from the day we come out of the womb, we're smacked.
Yeah.
Smacked into obedience. You must breathe, or else. And so we are programmed right from day one, and if we're not following the correct program that our dysfunctional ancestors gave us, then we are punished. And that punishment creates fear.
Yeah.
And so we are trained to live a fearful life. We are trained to do that. And I will not follow that way.
Can I tell you just very quickly? When I got my spiritual teacher over 40 years ago, she said to me, you're not allowed to use a tarot pack, give a clairvoyant reading, or do a healing until I tell you you're ready to do that. Now, that's very old-fashioned. Not a lot of people will understand that, but I did understand it. And she said to me, what I want you to focus on is getting a relationship with the people in spirit. That is essential. You must describe who your God is to me today, because over the decades it will change and evolve as you change and evolve. But you must have a measuring stick. And she said, if you can formulate the question, I'll give you the answer. But if you can't formulate the question, no amount of me giving you the answer will work. And I thought I had everything on a platter, right? She was just going to give it to me. And I can't remember the first question, but I know her answer, which is aligned to what you're saying. She said to me, Barb, I want you to go out and ask the universe the same question. I want you to keep your eyes and your ears open. I want you to allow life to give you the answer to that. And when you've got the answer, come back. And I remember a time where we had no heating. I needed to go to the pine forest. I put my back against the grandfather's tree's trunk. I asked the pine tree, would it talk to its family to allow us to receive pine cones? And I swear you not, we went to this big circle and there was other people there, and we saw hundreds pine cones rise up because we attune to it. And she said to me, I want you to understand and hear the unseen and see the unheard. And when you've got that, all the messages reside when you raise your vibration. You don't have to learn to do that.
Yes.
And
It's
it's
kind of a way
all
of walking in
there.
miracle, really.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it was like just so many times it's like she's taught me, speak to the weeds the night
Mm.
before you're going to pull them up. Speak to
Mm.
the rose bush. That is it okay if I cut you to bring you and your delightful aroma into the house?
Mm.
She said,
Mm.
ask permission, hear and listen.
Mm.
And that is so important. In your book, how does this flow through your book? How does this awareness it, and okay, a better question. Is your book just for spiritual people or is it for anyone that is wanting to learn a new way?
Well, that's really interesting because I have a friend in my life who is not ready for anything, she informs me. And so she's not going to buy my book because she doesn't feel like she's ready and she's got to do a lot of work. However, she did come to my place the other day because a friend of hers is dying and wants to meet her angels. And so she asked me if I would go around and connect this lady with her angels because I do channel for people now, and not channeling, it's transmissions. Um, I do bring through transmissions from the angels for people now over the phone, but I went in person to this lady's house and because she wanted to buy the book as well, um, and so while my friend was sitting on the lounge telling me all this about her friend, she opened the book and the reading was exactly what the all about the lady that I was going to go and see, and it was just so amazing. And she said, "Well, it obviously works." So just randomly opening the book when you've got a question or a problem, and it will just guide you because it's not the angelic energy is in the book. You know, it's in the words, and words are powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Can we just have a look at the cover of your book again, please? I just
Sure.
think it's an exceptional cover. Look at that. Days of Wisdom.
Yeah.
And
And
we can all relate to that trusting, beautiful young child within us that is
yes.
just open to receive without any limitations. Without that's what the cover reminds me of. Is
Mm,
there's no limitation to who we are
mm,
except the
mm.
limitations that we put. But that's not what the cover just says no limitations.
Yeah, and look at the gold, look at the golden light in her hair.
Yeah,
It's like she's just a receiver of this amazing
yeah.
brilliance, you know.
And that's the first thing I saw when you showed me the cover of the book some time ago was just that brilliance of all things coming through her.
Mm.
What would you say to someone out there who feels unsure about trusting their own inner feelings, their own inner wisdom?
Trust is of the highest vibrational frequency. It is from the top chakra, and that chakra extends 6 inches upwards into the soul star. And nothing can happen in your life unless you trust. And I mean, in terms of spirit. So I had to learn to trust in order to bring through the gifts of the spirit. And if I wasn't trusting, I wouldn't get it. And even if I was getting it, I wouldn't trust it. So I had one of the highest gifts you can develop, and the main gift for bringing through anything from spirit is to trust. And that is the highest vibrational frequency for this physical being able to receive.
Right. In your way of thinking, which I love, it's very refreshing. What is the difference between the many other spiritual books and this book, The Days of Wisdom?
I have no idea. I don't read any other spiritual books. I've got enough going on with the ones that I'm writing. I'm actually writing 9 books at the same time. I know that sounds crazy, but I am. And it started off with a book called Angel Feathers in Crow's Nest. That was the original book that I started to write. It's then now been put on the back burner because Days of Wisdom was supposed to be 365 readings that I put into that book. And that's not going to work because the book itself is already big, and to put another 365 readings in it, which you can see takes up a lot of room. Um, yeah, and also when I was writing this particular book, I got meditations and I got activities, and the activities were for you to experience each lesson. So they're all coming out as separate books, the meditation and the activities. And then I started writing plays because I teach nonviolent communication on a Tuesday night on Zoom. And so I've been teaching my classes for over 8 years, and I have faithful regular students every Tuesday night that attend. And just recently, in the last probably 4 months, they've started writing plays so that when we choose a subject, like for instance support, then I will bring through the wisdom of how to support yourself, how to support others through nonviolent communication, and then I will do a play that really hones it in. So it's like the activity, but it's a play, and it's playful. And so I have characters in it like Rowan, who's like a barefoot hippie who's into herbs and the universe and gardening and how the cycles of life work. And then I've got Frankie, who is a butch dyke and very tough and really wanting to explore the universe, but has no clue how to do it. And then I have a little bird called Crow who pops in, and she's very, very naughty, and she's audacious. And then I have a wise old sage who comes in on a walking stick and makes cryptic comments. So the whole thing is really funny, and but it also gets in the information. So sometimes, well, all the time, the angels are wanting us to live this wisdom, and they give us practical ways to do that. And sometimes, and most often, they're fun.
And in what practical, can you give us maybe some examples of practical ways that the archangels, get us to explore life or experience life or get to know life?
I think we get very, very caught up in bullshit. And I was at a spiritual retreat 2 weeks ago, and part of that spiritual retreat is probably 8 times a day doing a dancing meditation that goes on for hours. And I'd done it and done it and done it that day, and I was tired, and I really didn't want to do it again. So I went outside. We were at a conference centre, and part of the conference centre is built around a church. It's a non-religious conference centre. It's just that they've acquired that property. So we were using the church for different activities. And anyway, so I went outside the church, and there was a lady there just looking at the sky. And I said, you know what? I said, I just really want to lay on the grass and look at the sky. And I laid on the grass and I had the most blissful experience. I swear I saw more than 20 satellites going across the sky. And for me, I had the same thing happen when I was a teenager and I went to another church. I was doing a poetry workshop, and we had to go out onto the land and write a poem. And over the road from where we were, there was a church, and there was a church service on. And they were all in there singing, which is what was happening when I was doing the stargazing the other night. And they were all in there singing, and I just could not bring myself to go in that church. But outside the church, there was this little garden area where a wisteria had dropped and was dropping all its beautiful purple flowers, and there was just a bed of beautiful purple on the ground. And I lay on that and just looked at the tree and saw the petals falling on me, and it was such an awesome experience. And experiencing nature is one of the best ways to raise your vibrational frequency, and it opens you up to your internal joy. And I want to say this particularly at the moment is because people get confused between happiness and joy. Happiness is a momentary thing. Oh, I bought a new car. I'm so happy. Last 2 days, and then what's next? What else can I acquire to find this happiness? Whereas joy is something that comes from your internal journey, and just laying under that tree or in that grounds watching the sky or watching the petals fall, just the joy that filled every cell in my body was ecstatic. And that's the way I want to live.
Yeah, I can fully understand. As you can see in the background, that's not a screensaver. That's what I look at every day, and the front is very similar. And I go uptown. I'm only 7 minutes away from the centre of city, and I go uptown maybe twice a month, and I go for lunch. And I say to my hubby, "Can you please get me home? I can't do this." Because the joy of nature is all prevailing.
Mm,
It's and it never changes, and it's never the same,
mm.
you know?
And what people don't understand is that nature is humming.
Yeah.
And when we hum with it, when we move with it, like I'll go outside and I'll dance with the tree. Now, how do you
Yeah.
do that? You simply stand before the tree and you watch for any little movement.
Yeah.
If it sways, if the breeze comes through, you make exactly that movement. And sometimes I do
Yeah.
it with the grass. There'll be grass there and it'll just be doing this sort of thing. And then suddenly it'll do this. And
Yeah.
I do that and I connect with the intelligence, and and I'm humming with the
Yeah.
vibrational frequency of that experience. And it's so delicious.
And and this is what Crystal was telling me. Listen to the wind. The wind
Mm,
it's got messages for you, Barb. Go and I watched the ocean at one stage in New Zealand. I had a view of the ocean, and it took me 12 months for the ocean to teach me why we have a soul. And it was
mm,
just by observing the nature, observing the different seasons,
mm,
and to forget when you're in those, and I won't say moments because I would spend hours in those moments. um Everything falls away.
yeah,
It just falls away.
yeah. And for me, I know the people on here watching don't know my background, but I married a Lakota Ghost Horse Indian and lived in North Carolina in the Smoky Mountains. But I've actually lived with 4 different tribes, and the one that I lived with in Canada, the French Cree, um, they would do things to me like I lived with the grandmothers, and they would say things like, you go ask grass to teach you. So I'd have to pack up a lunch and my daughter, and off we'd go, and we'd sit in the grass all day. And what I realized was that the grass, when the climate's not right, when the fires come through, when there's a drought, it doesn't die. It goes underground and nurtures its roots in Mother Earth. And then when the climate is right again, it will send up a tiny little yellow shoot.
Yeah.
And if the climate is right, it will take the chlorophyll from the sun and it will grow. And
Yeah.
that's what we have to do. We have to go inward and nurture ourselves in Mother Earth. And then when the climate is right, we bring what we got from Mother Earth out to the people.
And this may be really old knowledge. And it is definitely very old knowledge, but it's old because it reflects the new, and
Mm,
we've got to go back into that.
mm.
Crow, Black Crow Walking, thank you.
You're welcome.
How can we buy your book?
Oh, yes, books by. Um, I'm going to put a link below this. At the moment, you can buy the ebook on Amazon, but I prefer that you buy everything through Books By at the moment because I get 100% of the royalties, whereas Amazon actually takes
Yes.
35%.
Yeah. So
Uh,
if on when I put this up, I'll also put the links up
yes,
for
please.
you to go and buy it,
Yep,
because it's really important. The vibration in this book is incredible. It's a really practical book, even though it's a very spiritual book. It won't. It's not a how-to book. It's not going to say if you get up at 5 a.m. and do this, this is going to happen. It's not that type of book, but it will touch you and it will inspire you to waken up into your spirit, into your hearing, into your seeing the way it works for you. And do yourself a favor, a massive favor. Please buy this book. It will, it will change your life. Black
thank you,
Crow
Barbara.
Walking, thank you so much for today. And we have been very blessed for this spending this time with you. I know that you've got to go, because, before enlightenment, people chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water.
That's it,
Nothing
yes.
changes and nothing remains the same. You've still
Yeah,
got to go to work. You've still got to do the dishes. It doesn't
that's
matter
right.
how enlightened you are. Until next time, thank you so much and bye bye for now.
Thank you.